Yeah, I was just gonna comment. It's ironic that a lot of us that are trying to get over illness um, are living at home with exactly the people that kind of set into motion a lot of the dynamics that probably in some part contributed to us being sick. So it's sort of like we're in like it's like, oh, let's put you right back in the environment where you started out, the sort of um, issues that made you sick in the first place, you know, just sort of interpersonal feelings and stresses and stuff. And it's funny because the healthier, you'd think that I'd be able to handle it more as I get healthier, but actually it's like the healthier I get, the harder I find it to live with my mom. And she's so sweet, and I mean, like in so many ways, she's wonderful, and she's like the perfect mother to have when I have Lyme, because like she's so sweet and so strong. I think I've really come to see how strong she is by watching her deal with this, and especially while I've been living here with her. And for about 5 months, I was just yeah, I was on my own. You know, I wasn't living with my parents during most of the time I had Lyme, and but she's also like it's like this like poison for my personality kind of to be, you know, with her and stuff, because it's just like it's like as I get healthier I'm going off in this different direction, yet the sort of like rules of engagement or the rules of our relationship have been that I've got to be sort of in this mind meld with her. I'm gonna turn see. I'm trying to get more of my gestures on the camera because they're kind of interesting. um but so anyway, I'm just thinking maybe a lot of us deal with this with, you know, spending more time with our parents or talking with our parents more when we're sick because we need them and we need their support and stuff. But just not wanting to be like them and also needing to be different from them in order to be healthy, in order to move, it's like the way that I was trained to be in this family, I'm not going to be able to be healthy if I continue to be that way. And I don't want to be down on my mom because she's wonderful and sweet, and like in a lot of ways we get along great. And I'll mention that we get along so much better when we take time to actually have like girl time together. Like we'll play Scrabble, or we'll go out for dinner, or we we just try to have like mother-daughter dates, and that makes a huge difference. Because I think with any relationship, and this is something you hear from marriage counseling or whatever, but with any relationship you've got to have more positive interactions than negative interactions, and ideally the ratio should be like at least 5 to 1. And so, you know, parent-child relationships, if you're having a tough time living with your parents, like try something like whatever you can do with them that's a fun time with them, like, you know, anything that tends to be a positive interaction with them, try it. But I feel like the thing that I've got to do, because I've got to keep living here now. I have all this incredibly heavy ozone equipment that I don't want to ship, and I figure I'm going to be here for at least another 4 months while I'm using it, because it seems like it takes people at least 3 months to get better with ozone, if not a year. So I don't even know what I'm going to do, guys. Like, I'll be here till like January at least, I'm guessing. And also, even though I'm really feeling a lot of improvement already, and I don't want to like just move on with my life here though. Like, I don't think it's going to work for me to get a car, because that's going to be so expensive, and I wouldn't really make enough working here part-time to pay for the car or to make it worthwhile to get a car. And I don't want to be stuck here. I don't want to have like a, so, you know, either I like find a job where I can bike there, or work from home, which is just more isolation. I'm so fucking isolated here. And you know, I try to get out, but I go to the park, there's no seating at the park, and like I kind of get depressed every time I meet Texans as well. I go out and it's supposed to be like, oh, a healthy thing for me going out, and I get really kind of like turned off because I don't like the people here. And it's just like, it's sort of like bad memories from growing up here and stuff. So anyway, but what I find helps me with coping with my mom is sort of like getting an outside perspective on it, which is why I'm making this video. I hope this video is not getting too long. But some of the stuff that I deal with my mom, first is just talking about God, and it just gets me down so much, you guys. Like, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Catholic anymore, and I mean I'm like vaguely spiritual, and you see my videos about non-duality and stuff, which is I think what the essence of Jesus was about anyway. So I you know, but I find it so so awful hearing about it. And it's like anytime I'm having a hard time, my mom is like, oh, I just can't help it. I have to tell you about God. I have to tell you about, well, she's like, well, you know what I would say is go to visit the Blessed Sacrament. Sit before the Blessed Sacrament is what she'll say. Or go to Mass or pray the Rosary. And she seems to think like it's magic. She's like, well, how about we just pray 2 Hail Marys and then everything will be okay. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. And when she hears about people with Lyme, she's like, well, I'd like to know about their religious beliefs. And I'm like, a lot of Christian people have Lyme. Like, it doesn't save you from Lyme to be Christian. Like, it doesn't automatically fix you, you know, and it's not a magic trick. It's not like that's sort of a Catholic idea. You just put in your prayers and then you get a trick out, you get a reward. And I'm like, Mom, I sat her down one day and I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm doing the basics of what Christianity and Catholicism are about, which, you know, what Jesus was about. It's about living well or being good to people or being, you know, a good person or honest person. I'm trying to do that. And that's what matters, is what's in your heart and not like the particular formulas that you're doing and stuff. So anyway, so rough on me hearing about this, and I feel so disrespected every time she says it because she knows I don't want to hear it, and she says it anyway. And so I feel like I'm not able to have boundaries. I'm not able to say, I don't want to hear about this, please don't tell me about this. And then she keeps doing it, and it's like, I feel powerless. And that's the part that really depresses me, is I feel like, and then I try to cope with it. I try to find different ways to think about it. Like, I try to think about it as like, oh, this is just some crazy, weird religion, as though it were Judaism or some other religion that I don't have any emotional ties to, because I used to be very, very extremely, I was going to say severely Catholic. And so it really kind of has like a subconscious hold on me, which is why I really don't like hearing about it. But I did there used to be about 40 religious items in our house, like all over, every wall, everywhere you looked had it, like a Jesus crucifix, statues, everything. I've slowly taken these down, and these have gone into the corner, which is where the religious items go to die. And they're just like a pile of religious items in the corner. But I just feel so much more relaxed, like not having this stuff. Like, I used to feel like I lived in like a shrine or something. Anyway, the other stuff, it's hard about being with my mom, not to be down on her, but just like, if anybody can give me an outside perspective on this, my mom really believes in saving every last drop of everything. So this morning I made like a green drink, or green soup, like a raw soup last night, and it was in a container. And my mom, I drank it out of the container. The container was sitting there on the counter, and I was going to wash it in a little bit. And Mom was like, oh, well, do you want to lick the rest of the soup out of this thing with your finger? I was like, Mom, I don't want to do that. That gives my brain this message of scarcity. I feel like I'm a Somalian child starving if I have to like lick everything out of this container with my fingers. And I was like, do you want to lick it? And she's like, well, no, but if it were my soup, I would lick the container. And I'm like, and I was like, Mom, it's fine if you want to do these things. Oh, also, we were making, anytime I make water for my tea, she won't let, it's really important that I never let like any steam escape before I make the water, because like that's like money being wasted, because it's our filtered water that's escaping, and we're trying to get a home water filter. But anyway, it's so weird. Like, so you have to like keep the lid on the tea so it's super loud, just so less steam will escape, because you don't want to waste like, you know, a couple molecules of water. So I don't know. It's so weird. I was like, Mom, please just don't tell me about this. I need to feel relaxed. I don't need to feel like, you know, this is like a famine or something. Just a lot of, my mom gives me a lot of unsolicited advice, and it's just really almost like more stressful than it's worth to talk to her about my problems, because I tell her what's going on, and then she'll just say the most random stuff that it reminds her of, or she'll say like, oh, well, you know, go to God, or, you know, and it's sort of, I think my mom has Asperger's, where it's all about information. It's all about information all information is totally normal, and information is never wrong. It's sort of, you know, I'll say something and I'll remind her of something, and she'll just tell me the information and won't think about like, gee, well, how's my daughter feeling? Like, what's going on in her emotionally? Like, what kind of, how do I need to be here for her now, depending on what's going on emotionally? It's more like, oh, maybe you'd like some information. How about this information? How about this information? And like, and a lot of it, I'm trying to like respond, and I'm trying to tell her, okay, well, that one that you just said there really hurt my feelings because blah 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 this, or what you just said there, I hurt my, and I'm trying to give her tips, or a lot of times I have to tell her like, hey Mom, I say something and she says something really, really inappropriate back, and I say, hey, let me just give you an idea of what just happened. So I came to you and I gave you this emotional package of me saying, this is basically how I'm feeling. And then you give me this back, and it really hurt my feelings or bugged me, and it also I didn't feel like my emotional package was acknowledged. So maybe why don't you just acknowledge and just say back, hey, it's like I'm trying to get her to say things like, oh, it seems like you feel this way, and she's doing it. She's really doing it. And also a lot of times when I say, hey, this is hard, she used to think that it would like get me down if she agreed with me, and now I'm trying to say, no, it really relieves me if you say, yeah, it makes sense, that's hard, because I'm like, oh, okay, life makes sense. This feels hard to me. Other people recognize that it's hard. It must be hard and must be not the normal way of things. Whereas if you say stuff is hard and then people never recognize it, you're like, is this just what life is like? So, and I think it's like our parents probably have a lot of similar, like, milder versions of health issues that we have. Because I know I've been like this myself at times. Like when I was more hypothyroid and stuff, I just was really awkward. Couldn't think of how things were going to sound to other people. And I'm still like this to some degree. Getting better, but I really want to distance myself from my mom, and I think that's so helpful, so important for me for getting better. And it's tough to do while I live here because my mom is the only person I see regularly in person, and if I want to go out of the house anywhere but like the park, I've got to go with my mom. And I realized actually one of my friends from childhood is actually comes to visit her parents here in my neighborhood every now and then, but I'll see if I can hang out with her. It's a little stressful because she's a doctor. She doesn't believe in Lyme, and it's always kind of awkward when we talk, but she just got her MD. And yeah, but I just like, over the last, it's just like, I feel like for me to be healthy, I've got to have this like distance between me and my mom, and like, I'm different, you're that way, I'm not that way, and really not follow the rules my parents have set out. And I'm reading this book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and it mentions some stuff about how terrified people are to kind of break their family's rules, their parents' rules for how to live. And it's just, in my family, the rules, I mean, the way things were is you didn't really get help for your psychological issues or your childhood issues or being damaged or anything. So people just stay damaged, and you just sort of deal with it. And that's the other thing in my family, is you just kind of deal with stuff. If there's problems, if there are problems, all of us in the family, we are willing to tolerate really extreme problems before we get any professional help for them. And it's just sort of, oh, you just take care of it on your own. And that was the expectation for me with Lyme, is I would take care of it with no doctor. And that's what I'm doing now, and that's what I did for about half the time I've had Lyme, is have no doctor. And in the beginning, I was trying to do it just with herbs. Anyway, and the other rules in my family are that you put other things above making sense to society. And you guys see my videos are pretty crazy, but that's kind of a rule of my family, is you just don't care about being polite or being socially appropriate. And I want to be like that. I'm trying to learn. It's just hard. I don't really get to learn that from my family, so I'm really insecure about it. But I'm figuring it out, I guess. Figuring out what, those of you who talk to me in person, like, you get to see my current status of figuring it out about how to be polite to people, and not just say anything that comes to my mind, which people in my family do. And also, I'm just so not a religious person, and I just find so much to hate about Catholicism, and I was highly, highly affected by it. This is what set off my bad health, actually, was Catholicism. And I have a lot of long-standing bad issues between me and Catholicism. It's like my ex. It's like a really terrible ex. So, yeah. So that's all. Please respond to this. This is why I'm making this video, so that I get more help for how I'm trying to survive here at my mom's house and trying to maintain my mental health, because I really do believe it's the best place for me, because I can actually really focus on treatment without the stress of living with strangers. And this stuff is rather heavy, and I just don't feel like I can move anywhere with it. And it seems like it frequently gets damaged with shipping. The oxygen concentrator is like really, really heavy, like 80 pounds or 100 pounds, and I don't even know. But I just want to focus on treatment. It's good that my mom is gone a lot,